To wrap up this responsiveness part, one additional note. Whenever you're using MediaQuery a lot, like you're doing it here multiple times in the same widget tree, it's actually recommended that you don't, use it like this, but that instead you simply store that MediaQuery object in a variable. So here at the start of your build method, you can simply add a new variable up here, MediaQuery, and then simply store the result of MediaQuery off context in there. And in all the places below that variable where you used MediaQuery off context, like here in the isLandscape variable calculation, or here for defining the transaction list widget, or then of course also down there where we calculate the size of this container and then of this container. In all these places, and I selected them all together with the help of my IDE, so in all these places you then just want to use your MediaQuery variable. So that way you still use that MediaQuery, but you don't recreate that object and tap into it and tap into a new object all the time, which simply costs more performance and can lead to unnecessary re-render cycles. Instead, you set up one connection, get the MediaQuery data once and store that in one object, and then you reuse that object throughout your widget tree or throughout your build method here, which is more efficient. And since you're in one and the same build method, this will never change whilst you're running in that build method. So getting the value up front at the start of the build method makes a lot of sense. And whenever this is rebuilt, because the orientation changed, for example, then build will run again, and therefore you will create a new variable with a new value. So defining it here at the beginning makes sense if you're using it multiple times throughout the build method. Of course, as you will see, if we save this, everything still works as before. So it's really just a more efficient way of getting, storing, and managing your MediaQuery data.